can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I'm gonna have to probably put it on my hotspot. The Wi-Fi in the house isn't working, but I have hotspot on my phone, so I'll
Okay.
probably just transfer to that.
No, a lot of the stuff that Casey had when it comes to his physical, healing and stuff like that. When they went to actually find out if it was good, I mean, he was right on the nose about it, and he had gotten no education whatsoever in the medical field at all. Okay, and he would come up with remedies for helping with arthritis and stuff like that, which people were like, how did he know this? He had no training whatsoever. So in that aspect, you have to look at that. That is pretty interesting when it comes to all that. So I don't know if you heard all that or not, but yeah, I think she's bouncing in and out. You haven't
Now I'm
really.
here now, but you see how there's two of me? But I told you someone was intercepting. They have me hacked, so someone else is listening through my account, making it appear as though it's me. I have no reason to have two accounts here because I only am using one phone. This is nonsense. Like I don't understand. Like no one pays this phone bill, but everybody's sure enough utilizing the services. That's wild to me. Well, go
Yeah,
ahead. I apologize. My frustration is peaking.
but did you hear what I was saying about with
Not
Casey?
Nope, not at all. Wasn't allowed to. I heard French, and then after French, it was just here we are.
No, what I was saying before was like with his health. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay.
Everything's perfect now. Again, like I said,
With his
as
health,
long as
health remedies and stuff like that. Like, first of all, he was never trained in any kind of medical field whatsoever. You know what I mean? And he would actually be able to properly tell people this is what you need to take care of arthritis, or this is what you need for this and that. And they found out that a lot of the stuff he was telling these people to do actually worked. You know what I mean? And these are medical professionals that were saying it. I think that's one thing that I thought was pretty interesting about it, because I did find out that that was true, and these were coming from his meditations that he was doing. So that that is interesting. Now he got off onto the whole thing about Atlantis and everything, So I don't know about all that. Like those were prophetic dreams that he had, and I see it like this, Even what was his name? We were talking about him the other day. He was the one that everybody always mentions. He did. Oh God, what was he did the quatrains? Not
well,
every
I probably I don't.
Nostradamus.
No,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Nostradamus did thousands and thousands of uh, prophetic, you know, uh, you know,
Visualizations. Yeah, I remember you were saying
he did
you
that, and
said comments and yeah.
like all the stuff out of all the stuff that he said was going to happen in the future, like a handful of that actually came true, So when I look at it in those aspects, I mean, Casey actually, percentage wise, he did pretty good, other than the fact of the library that he said was underneath the Sphinx and stuff in
Wait, hold on.
Atlantis.
What do you mean they never were able to find it?
No, that was never. That there's, well, for one thing, they won't let people under,
There you
or
go.
I mean, it's like they're restricted from that and everything. So that that would become an issue. There's people today that still say that those those Sphinx have something underneath it. You know what I mean? And I find that part interesting too. And that all leads into Casey, who actually started talking about Atlantis. Like, hit this organization that the EdgarCasey.org, they still freaking send people out to do freaking like, especially diving around Cuba and areas like that, because they believe Cuba was close to where Atlantis and the Atlanteans actually existed. So
Really?
yeah, they really do believe that. They have scuba divers that go down, and they have archaeological finds on, I think it's the south shore of Cuba. I'm not positive, but I think it's on the south shore of Cuba, and they've been doing dives down there for years. So it's a pretty interesting setup there that's going on there, and they have tons of money.
It sounds like such, but I never knew that it was so close to as Cuba. Like I never knew that that was where we're saying that Atlantis was actually located at all. For whatever reason, I thought it was like on the other side of the world.
Well, there's different hypotheses on what and where Atlantis is. Like, it's not just Casey. Casey was like what Robot said the other day. Okay, he believed that it was the Atlantean Empire. You know what I mean? Like, it was an empire of people within the kingdom of Atlantis, and Atlantis was like an island that was located near America, and a lot of that I'm okay with, but like, I've noticed, like, even when I like to watch Viper TV on YouTube, which has to do with a lot of the ancient astronaut stuff and the Anunnaki and everything, and a lot of the stuff that they get into starts out with the Sumerians, and then it goes into the Assyrians, and then it goes into the Egyptians, and eventually now they're talking about freaking South America. It always ends up somewhere in South America, you know, and it just seems like a popular trend, you know. So I try to stay away from all that stuff, because I mean, for one thing, I'm getting sick and tired of freaking people trying to link freaking the Sumerians with, you know, tribes in South America. It just...
Yeah, because that's like completely off base. But I mean, at least from what you're teaching me, I had no clue. So maybe that they have, but again, we talk about those correlations and the separations. Perhaps maybe they are some Samaritans that actually were travelers and resided in such, or at least established something in such.
Well, see, I mean, I do believe that there is a connection with Africa and South America, because there's a mummy that was discovered, and I don't have the article up or anything, but a mummy that was discovered, that when they took samples off of the tissues that were around them, they found traces of cocaine. Well, see, cocaine is
indigenous to South America.
Yeah, and it's not indigenous to Egypt and Africa whatsoever. So in order for that to have happened, ships had to travel across there. And in the old sailing routes, when ships would sail, they always knew that it was better to go from Europe south to freaking like the edge of Africa, the African continent, and then shoot across to make it up into the West Indies instead of going straight, you know, because those waterways are faster in that region, because it comes down the shore and then it shoots back up the west or the east coast for our continent. So that's how they got around. So I
that would make sense then. I mean, but the finding of it would make you wonder about the usage, or at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I could see travel happening there and everything, but I mean, they could have. It seems just a little bit too trendy for a lot of people who believe in ancient astronauts in Atlantis to kind of like jump on the bandwagon and say, that the Sumerians are directly connected to people who were in Peru, you know what I mean? Or
Right.
but it just that's the one thing I really do try to stay away from. Now, if there's compelling evidence, then fine, but
You'd be more inclined to accept the theory, but in the meantime, it's just. I mean, for all we know, the people finding it could have just spilled some of their own stash. I mean, I highly doubt that. I knew that, but I was just saying, like, there's really no solid proof. Whereas you have solid proof of them being present in Lebanon and in Turkey and stuff like that. Like, that's different.
Yeah. Now, after that, we were talking about Jack Parsons, and I'd like to read what I found on him.
I would like for you to tell me more about what you know, just based off of what I've heard. So yeah.
Now this is from Linda Hall, the Linda Hall Library, and it's a scientist of the day, Jack Parsons. It was made on October the 2nd, 2020. It's just a small article. And it goes scientist of the day, Jack Parsons. And Jack Whiteside Parsons, an American rocketeer, was born October the 2nd, 1914, on October the 31st, 1936. Parsons teamed up with Frank Molina, a Caltech graduate student, and 3 others to successfully ignite a small solid fuel rocket in an isolated area of Pasadena known as Arroyo Seco. Molina was a graduate student of Caltech, but Parsons had only a high school education. Still, his passion for rockets had convinced Theodore von Karman to put him in touch with his student Molina. It turned out that Parsons was a rocket genius. He helped invent not only the solid fuel rocket, but he was also a pioneer developer of JATO technology, which used baby rockets hung under a plane's wing to provide jet-assisted takeoffs. Parsons went on to co-found Jet Propulsion Laboratories, JPL, the government-funded agency at Caltech that has run most of our space programs. Indeed, in much of their promotional literature, modern-day JPL traces its origins to that Halloween Day rocket firing in 1936. Parsons also co-founded Aerojet Corporation, which initially made JATO rockets and then moved into space rockets. All this sounds quite impressive, so why have we heard so much about Werner von Braun and Robert Goddard as so little about Parsons? Mainly because, in addition to being brilliant, Parsons was a genuine occultist wacko. Parsons became a follower of the wickedest man in the world, Aleister Crowley, and his magical order, the Ordo Templi Orientis, or Order of the Temple of the East, or OTO.